Alright, so this is a slightly different location, so the lighting might be a little different, but I'm going to try to still get you the main information you need. Um, it's best if you go ahead and pause this video and try to actually find as many factors of 80 as you can. Since the second test that I'm getting you ready for this quarter is about factoring, it would help if you actually know how to factor this part. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time. So pause this video, get as many factors of 80 as you can, and then go ahead and hit play again and go from there. Other than that, again, if you're looking for the factors of 80, what we learned to do is to put our 80 down, and then we start with the number 1. And a lot of this can be common sense. So what you do is you say 1 times what makes 80, of course that is 80. Then you go to 2. 2 times what makes 80, that would be 2 times 40. 3 I don't think goes into 80. Remember, we can check that by typing in 80 divided by 3, which is a decimal. Nope. 4 I know goes into 80, that would be 20 times. I think 5 does too, so let's see that. 80 divided by 5, which is 16. I do not think 6 goes into 80, but let's see. 80 divided by 6. Nope. I'm pretty sure 80 doesn't go, or 7 doesn't go into 80, which is also right. 8 should. It'll be 8 times 10. And if you remember yesterday, what I told you was as soon as your answer over here gets bigger than your answer over there, it's time to stop. Notice how 8 is here and 10 is there, so it's getting pretty full. You can check 9, but again, once you check 9, see how our answer is actually smaller than 9, which means we've hit a stopping point, plus our next number would be 10, which is already in the list. That represents your factors of 80. So keep that in mind. Again, work on that skill because you are going to need it in a few weeks. Getting into what we're talking about though, adding and subtracting polynomials. Yesterday we talked about degrees, standard form, like terms, adding polynomials. Just a quick review of yesterday. We were asked to find the degree of an expression. We had something like this, and if you remember, degree means how many variables are attached. Well, again, what we did is we kind of ignored the coefficient, and we looked and said the m to the third means 3 m's, that means 2 n's, and that had a degree of 5, because there are 5 variables attached to that coefficient. When you looked at b, and we had more than one term, what I said was you take the degree of each part. That would be 3 plus 1, which is a degree of 4. This is 4 plus 3, which is a degree of 7. And nothing at all, which is a degree of 0. Remember, no variables means a degree of 0. And you pick the highest one, which means your degree in this problem is 7. Another thing we did yesterday is we wrote expressions in standard form, which is where we said standard form is highest to lowest. In other words, the variable count is going down. That has 0, this has 2, that has 1, which means the first one I want is the highest amount, which is 2, so you will rewrite your 3x squared. The next highest is x, and the key thing, as I said yesterday, to remember that negative is that your next part would be negative 8x, and then your last number would be plus 4. And then of course the last thing we learned yesterday was how to add polynomials, and when we saw a plus sign we knew that this plus just meant to combine terms. Again, keep in mind that plus means combined terms. So what we do is we look for the highest number, that way we put it in standard form. There is no other x to the fourth, so we write our 5x to the fourth. Of course, this is a good time for a pen to go out, but give me a second. Yeah, it's out. But either way, we write our 5x to the fourth, and then we look for anything else like 4x to the third, which is right here. Yep, looks like I have to. So again, what we do is we take our 5x to the fourth, then we take our next part, which is 4x to the third. Again, 4x to the third has nothing to add to it, so we write our 4x to the third. The next one down would be x squared, which is here. And again, notice how I'm underlining everything differently. Again, 6x squared has nothing with it, so we bring it down. X is next. Another type of line you could use is just a single wavy line. There's an x there and an x there. Negative 3x, negative 5x. If you don't remember, again, take those two numbers and type them in. Negative 3 plus negative 5, which as you see here is negative 8. And then you put the x on there. Alright. Today's material is just slightly different. Thinking back to when you first learned about distributive property, again, back in your algebra days, because remember yesterday I told you this is pretty much first semester algebra here, or first quarter algebra. We dealt with simplifying problems similar to this, to where you had a negative there, and you were taught that that is a -1, and that you were distributing -1 to everything. But in the end, what you learned is that this negative just means to switch everything that it distributes to. So this is a positive 5x squared, and what we learned to do is put a negative 5x squared. This is a negative 4x, and what we learned to do is put a plus 4x. This is a positive 3, and what we learned to do is put a negative 3 in that part of the problem. Alright. The only difference here is that we're going to combine terms after distributing the negative. And so here's examples of today's work, because pretty much that one shift is all you have to do. So in this one, notice that we do not have a plus, and that's why I keep circling that sign. That is not a plus, that is a minus, which means that we are going to have to distribute these. So what I would do, since I have to do a work of distribution, is I would just go ahead and rewrite this without the parentheses. 6d minus 10d to the third plus 3d squared. And again, this is now going to drop to everything there. So here we get minus 5d to the third minus 3d and plus 4. Again, that is the only new step that you have, because now we do what we did yesterday. The highest d's there is to the third here and here. -10, -5, make -15. D to the third, you have d squared here, but no other d squared, so plus 3d squared. You've got a regular 6d here and a 3d there. That's negative. 6 minus 3 makes 3, and then your 4 just comes along. So as you notice, this is the same work as what we did yesterday. The only thing you have to add into your step is to carefully make sure you practice distributing that negative, because in all honesty, that is the only new information for today, is just distributing that negative. Not only new information for today, but in general, that is what the main information of the day is about. Again, in this problem, when you don't see a plus, it means we have to distribute the negative, and so what we'll do is we'll just simply rewrite the other portion of it, because there's nothing going on here. So 6k to the third plus 3k, this turns into plus 5k to the third minus 3k squared and plus 8k. After that, again, looking for the highest there, you got negative 6k to the third, positive 5k to the third, which is negative k to the third, because negative 6 plus 5 is -1. Again, take your calculator and check that for yourself. You have negative 3k squared with nothing else with it, so that's what we're going to put here. You've got 3k here, 8k there, which makes 11k. Sorry, writing's never been my strongest thing. But again, that is going to be where you end up. And then of course we have the one where they stack them up, and all you have to do on that is, the best way to do this is to actually rewrite the stack. So 3d squared plus 8d minus 2, and again, this means distribute the negative, so you put negative 2d squared plus 7d minus 6. And now you can work this out just the way you're supposed to, which means now we have 3d minus 2d squared, which is 1d squared, or just d squared. You have 8d and 7d, which is 15d. Negative 2 and negative 6, if you're not sure what that is, type it in and you get negative 8. And again, that is your stopping point there. Alright. One more type of problem that you're going to see on today's information is talking about perimeter with polynomials. Just a real quick example before we get ready to go. It would say something like the perimeter of a triangular park is 14x minus 6. Two of the sides have lengths of 2x minus 4 and 3x plus 5. Find the length of the third side. The thing about perimeter, remember that perimeter is the sum of sides, which means add them up. And so whenever you're looking for a perimeter of something, it means you're going to add up all the sides to make that perimeter. Well, here they give me their perimeter as 14x plus minus 6, and you're talking about a triangle here. So you've got side 1, side 2, side 3. So perimeter would be side 1 plus side 2 plus side 3. And again, since they give me the perimeter, it means that I am looking at 14x minus 6 for your perimeter. Side 1, they tell me, is equal to 2x minus 4, plus side 2, they tell me, is 3x plus 5, and then plus some side I don't know about. And again, that is pretty much what you're looking at. And so the best way to do this is to simplify the side as far as possible and then compare and use a little bit of algebra that we already know how to do. So what I'm going to do is go over on this right side here. Again, 14x minus 6 isn't going to change, but this is going to turn into 5x plus 1. And so now what we have to do is figure out what we are adding to 5x to make 14x and what we are adding to 1 to make to 6. And again, that's just some algebra stuff there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, because this is going to be 5x plus something over here, I'm going to put 5x plus question mark equals 14x. That way I know what should go there. And the algebra that we learned is, since we're looking for this question mark, we got to move this 5x over here. And again, think about if I would have had 5 plus 2y equals 10, that you subtract 5. Again, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. That cancels, and my question mark therefore equals 9x, which means that has to be 9x. Think about it, 5x and 9x do make 14x, and so that is part of my answer. The second thing I'm going to do is know that a number has to be added, so I'm going to put 1 plus something equals negative 6. And again, if I want the question mark, I'm just going to subtract 1, that cancels. Negative 6 and negative 1 make negative 7, which gives you your answer as 9x minus 7. Now again, this is a challenging question, and you're probably going to have to ask for assistance when you see it. There are other ways to do it, which is why I said if this part here doesn't do it, just kind of ask about it, use people around you, have somebody else explain it to you, and you'll find your way to that. But again, a lot of things in math you have to learn kind of from experience and fighting through it, and just again asking and inquiring about things that you don't understand. So before you move on to the lesson, take this question here, work it out, and remember to bring it up for feedback so you can understand what it is that you might be doing wrong. Other than that, good luck.